They didn't send me a card. Not even a text message. My own sister was getting married and nobody told me when or where. Dad looked at his shoes when I asked about it. Mom pretended her phone was ringing. "It's better this way," my aunt said, patting my hand like I was 5 years old. "Your sister wants everything to be calm." I watched them pack the car with gifts wrapped in shiny paper. Nobody asked if I wanted to come along. I sat on my front steps, counting clouds, thinking about how people you love can just forget you exist. Later that night, everything changed and their happy day turned into something nobody expected. I grew up in a family where being quiet meant you were good. Mom smiled when you didn't ask questions. Dad was proud when you just agreed. My sister Emma was the special one, the one everyone protected like she was made of glass. I was the helper, the one who cleaned up messes and made things look nice again before company came over. That's probably why I started fixing broken furniture for people. I like making old things beautiful again, chairs, tables, sometimes even friendships. When Emma said she was getting married, I felt happy for her. I really tried. I picked out decorations with her, helped set up chairs in the backyard, even paid money when her credit card didn't work. I thought that's what sisters do. But when the wedding got closer, everyone stopped talking to me. Phone calls happened without me. Plans were made when I wasn't around. First I thought maybe they forgot. Then I understood they meant to leave me out. Mom started being the one who told me things. She used that special voice, the one that means she already decided everything. "The wedding is going to be small," she said. "We just want it to be calm and nice." I asked, "Calm for who?" She breathed out hard like I was already being difficult. "Just don't mess up your sister's special day, okay?" Those words felt heavy in my chest like a rock. I wanted to ask when I ever messed anything up, when paying Emma's bills or watching her children or helping with her store that closed counted as being bad, but I stayed quiet. You can't win a fight when nobody admits there's a fight. The next week I drove to my parents' house to bring Dad some tools he needed. The house looked exactly the same, old paint, closed curtains, everything familiar. Inside, Mom was putting white flowers in a jar for the dinner before the wedding. The kitchen smelled like sweet candles and secrets. "Your sister is trying on her dress tonight," Mom said. "You can come if you promise not to make it weird." I almost laughed out loud. In my family, being nice and being mean looked exactly the same. "Don't worry," I told her, "I won't make anything weird." Her smile got tight like she felt happy and guilty at the same time. That evening I stood outside my house, watching the sun go down behind the big mountains, the air cold and smelling like trees and rain coming soon. I thought about how easy it is for people to change the story, how me not being there would make them say I didn't care, not that they told me to stay away. Somewhere far away, music was starting, a party I helped build but wasn't allowed to see. Maybe being quiet really was love in my family. Or maybe it was just a prettier word for erasing someone. The day before the wedding, my phone buzzed with pictures I wasn't supposed to see. My cousin posted a photo from the practice dinner. My parents standing tall, Emma in her white dress. Her boyfriend Marcus with that fake smile that always seemed like he was lying. The words under the photo said, "Tomorrow is the big day, everyone is so happy." Everyone except me because I wasn't there. I told myself I didn't care, that I earned a quiet Saturday away from family drama. But when the laughing in those pictures got too loud in my head, I turned off my phone and sat at my work table. The old barn I was fixing, a building from 100 years ago, was waiting for me. I touched the smooth wood I'd repaired, strong and solid and steady, everything my family wasn't. By the afternoon, a big storm came rolling over the city. The sky turned dark gray, thunder pushing against my windows. I made hot tea, not wine this time, and tried to tell myself that staying home was right. No drama, no whispers, no giving them more reasons to call me the problem. But the quiet felt strange, like holding your breath underwater. At 6 o'clock, Mom called. I watched her name light up my screen until it stopped. No message, no text, just nothing, which in my family was never peace, it was punishment. When night came, city lights blinked through the rain. I stood by my window watching car lights blur on the wet road, wondering what was happening miles away at the fancy wedding place. I could see it in my mind too easily. My parents greeting people with practiced smiles, Emma glowing under the pretty lights I helped pick, Marcus charming everyone with empty words. A notification dinged, then another, then lots more. Picked up my phone. Messages flooded in from everywhere. You're missing the best party. The room looks amazing. Best wedding ever. I looked through each photo, each one feeling like a small cut. My family laughing, fancy glasses raised high. Cheers to new beginnings. Then one message pushed through all the noise, a text from Mom. Hope you understand why we thought this was better. We love you. No period at the end, no heart picture, just words, clean and final. I put my phone down and stared at it. The rain outside got heavier and steadier. Water ran down the glass like the house was crying. I whispered so I didn't go, and for the first time ever, I didn't feel bad about choosing myself. But feeling bad has a way of sneaking back in through the quiet. By 10 o'clock I'd walked around my whole house, checking doors, organizing tools that were already organized. Every sound made me jump, the thunder, the old floors creaking. Everything sounded like footsteps, like ghosts I couldn't ignore. I sat on the floor next to my toolbox, the smell of wood polish still on my hands. If I showed up at the wedding, what would happen? Would they stare? Would Emma cry? Would Marcus smile and call me dramatic? I imagined myself standing outside the big doors, invisible but somehow still in the way. No, I wasn't going, not this time. I'd spent my whole life fixing their broken things, covering their mistakes, cleaning their messes, pretending everything was fine. But families like mine don't want peace. They want you to obey and call it forgiveness. I closed my eyes and listened to the storm scratching at the roof. Somewhere inside that noise was freedom, the kind that only comes after you stop asking to be invited. Down the street, the power went out, making the whole block dark. My face disappeared from the window, and for a moment it was just me and the sound of rain, steady and strong. I thought maybe this is what starting over sounds like. But peace never lasts long in my family, because a few hours later when the lights came back on, so did the world, and everything was on fire. That night the storm finally broke apart. Lightning flashed through my windows, bright and angry, cutting the sky in half. I was lying on my couch, the TV humming quietly, some house-fixing show I wasn't really watching. I told myself I didn't care what was happening at the fancy wedding place. I'd done the right thing. Staying away was being strong. Then my phone started buzzing once, twice, then it wouldn't stop. I ignored it at first, probably just more photos, more proof of what I wasn't part of. But the buzzing didn't stop. It got worse, calls, texts, messages from people I hadn't talked to in forever. I grabbed my phone. The screen was glowing with chaos. Are you watching this? Oh my gosh, turn on channel 9. It's your sister, something bad happened. My stomach felt sick. I switched the TV to the news. The video was shaky, filmed by someone at the wedding. The words at the bottom said, "Breaking news, fight breaks out at wedding." For a second I thought it was a mistake. Then I saw her, Emma, my sister, in her white dress, makeup running down her face, hair falling apart. She was crying and yelling. Across from her was Marcus, the man who'd been all smiles and jokes, now red-faced and so angry. He shouted something, the words lost under people screaming. Then he lifted his hand. The slap was so loud it came through the TV speakers. I heard everyone gasp. Camera shook. Someone screamed louder. Then the video stopped. I sat frozen, my teacup shaking in my hand. The rain hammered my roof like clapping from another world. My phone lit up again, Mom calling. I didn't answer. The call went away, then another came, then another. I stared at the number of missed calls getting bigger and bigger. Each one a tiny desperate sorry. Finally I listened to one message. Her voice came through thin and scared. "Please, your sister is hurt. She needs you. We're at the hospital. Please come." I pressed the phone against my chest, breathing slowly and carefully. For years that was my job, to rush in when things broke, to clean, to fix, to forgive. But something inside me changed that night. They told me I would ruin the wedding. Turns out they didn't need my help. I turned the TV volume down. The news person was still talking about possible charges and police investigating, but it all sounded far away, like static noise. I walked to my window. Outside the rain had stopped. The street was shiny under the streetlights, quiet and washed clean. I could have grabbed my keys, driven to that hospital, held Emma's hand like I always did. I could have been the dependable one again. But what would change? I hadn't been invited to her happiness. Why should I come running to her sadness? My reflection stared back at me in the glass, tired, pale, but not giving in. Not this time, I whispered. The phone buzzed again, another call, another chance to fall back into the role they wrote for me. I turned it to silent and put it face down on the table. My house was quiet again, only the clock ticking. Somewhere sirens screamed in the distance. And for the first time in years I didn't feel guilty. Felt free. The morning after the wedding, sunlight felt wrong, too bright, too normal for what had just happened. I woke up to more messages, news headlines, and 100 different copies of the same video. It was everywhere now, on TV, online, even playing with no sound on a coffee shop screen when I went to get breakfast. Local wedding ends in violence, the word said, playing the same rough video over and over. In the clip, Emma's white dress looked see-through under the fancy lights. Her face streaked with black makeup. Marcus's yelling came muffled, but the sound of the slap was clear as day. The crowd's gasp was sharp enough to hurt every time I heard it. Someone's flowers hit the floor. Drinks spilled. Cameras flashed. That's how it ended. They're forever captured in 30 seconds of chaos. By lunchtime, the story had spread beyond our city. Every news station recycled the same details. Successful businessman hits bride during expensive wedding. A few gossip sites mentioned family problems. Someone even dug up Emma's failed store, painting her as unlucky in work and unlucky in love. And me, they left me out completely, which was fine. For once I didn't mind being invisible. The first knock came that afternoon. I didn't have to look through the peephole. Only one person knocked like that, 3 quick taps, 1 long pause, then 2 more. The rhythm of control. Open the door. Mom stood there, face pale, hair pulled back messy in a way that didn't look right on her. She looked smaller, like the weight of everyone knowing had crushed her spine. Rose. She whispered, stepping inside before I could say anything. Your sister is resting now. The police talked to Marcus this morning. I nodded once, arms crossed. You should probably sit down. I didn't. She walked straight to my kitchen counter, the same place where she'd scolded me months ago for not calling enough, and grabbed the edge like it might hold her up. It was horrible, she said. He just exploded. No one saw it coming. I stayed quiet. Her eyes looked up at me. I know you're angry, you have every right to be, but please don't make this worse. That line almost made me laugh. Worse. You told me not to come. I didn't come. And it still became a disaster. Tell me how that's my fault. I didn't say it was your fault. You didn't have to. For a long time, only the hum of the refrigerator filled the space between us. Then she whispered, your sister is asking for you. I breathed out slowly, trying to calm the rush of mixed feelings, anger, guilt, sadness. Of course she is, I said finally. She's always asking for me when everything is already broken. Please, she needs support. The news people. I cut her off. The news people will move on, they always do. But you, I stepped closer. You told me staying home was best. You told me I would ruin everything. She flinched. I was trying to protect her. No, I said you were trying to protect the lie. Her eyes got wet, but she didn't cry. My mother never cried when people were watching. After she left, I sat at my kitchen table, the smell of her perfume still hanging in the air. Flowers and guilt mixed together. For years I'd accepted that this was what love looked like in our family. Selective, conditional, pretty when it wanted to be seen. But the truth was simpler. Love that makes you stay silent isn't love. It's control. 2 days later my father came by. He didn't knock, just appeared in the doorway of my garage, wiping oil from his hands like he'd walked straight out of one of his half-finished projects. Your mom said she stopped by, he said quietly. She did. He nodded, eyes looking at the tools hung on my wall. You always kept things neat and organized. Someone had to, I said. He winced but didn't argue. Your mother is taking it really hard. She feels guilty. She should feel guilty, I said. She built this. He looked down at his shoes. Emma is moving back in with us, the kids too. Course she is. She wants to see you. I turned to face him directly. And what do you want, Dad? He hesitated. I want peace. I shook my head. Peace isn't pretending nothing happened. He didn't stay long after that. Just left a brown envelope on my workbench before leaving. Inside were copies of loan papers, proof that the money I'd sent them for house payments had been used to cover Emma's business debts instead. Every page was a reminder of how deep the lies went. I could have confronted them right then. I could have screamed, called the bank, reported what they did. But I didn't, not yet. Because revenge, I'd learned, wasn't about being angry. It was about timing. So I waited. A week later, a local reporter contacted me for comment. "You're Rose Alvarez, right, the bride's sister?" she asked. "We've heard there's more to the story." I almost told her everything about the favoritism, the lies, the way my parents rewrote history every time Emma failed. But then I thought about what silence had done for me so far. It hadn't just protected me, it had revealed them. "No comment," I said and hung up. That night I drove past my parents' house. Reporters still waited on the sidewalk, cameras pointed at the porch light. Through the curtains I saw Mom pacing, phone pressed to her ear. Dad sat at the table, shoulders heavy and slumped. Emma's shadow moved upstairs, slow and unsure. I didn't stop. I just kept driving. The next morning I mailed the bank copies of the documents. Not secretly, not with anger. Just truth delivered where it belonged. I didn't need to watch what happened next. A month later the house went quiet. No reporters, no parties, no holiday decorations that year. My parents sold the house. Emma started working 2 jobs, slowly paying her own bills. No one thanked me, and that was fine. I wasn't looking for thank yous. Sometimes justice doesn't shout. Sometimes it just leaves you alone long enough for the truth to echo. One evening I sat on my porch, the mountains turning pink under the sunset, a light cold creeping through the air. I thought about the girl who used to fix everything, the one who'd do anything for peace. She was gone now, replaced by someone who finally understood that not every house is worth restoring. My phone buzzed, a text from Emma. "I'm sorry, I didn't know how bad it was until it happened to me." I typed back, "Then don't repeat it." No lecture, no pity, just a line drawn clean in the sand. When I set the phone down, the sky was deep blue and still. Somewhere behind those mountains the fancy wedding place stood empty. Flowers dead, lights off, ghosts left to themselves. Their perfect day had burned down, and for once I wasn't the one holding the match. Months passed and the chaos faded like smoke after a fire. The scandal settled into silence. New headlines replaced the old ones and the world stopped caring. But I couldn't unsee what I'd learned. How fast love turns fake when control is threatened. How easily family can mistake silence for forgiveness. The wedding place reopened for new weddings that spring. I drove past once just curious. The flowers were different now. No trace of what happened. Just polished floors and freshly painted walls. It looked perfect again, like nothing had ever cracked. But I knew better. You can clean blood off fancy floors. You can't clean guilt out of memory. Emma stayed quiet for a while. She got her own apartment, a job at a flower shop, and stopped depending on anyone to rescue her. When she texted pictures of her kids helping her unpack boxes, I didn't feel bitter, just relieved. Maybe she'd finally learned what I had. Standing on your own hurts less than kneeling for approval. As for my parents, they sold the old house and moved somewhere smaller. No one told me where and I didn't ask. Some doors once closed don't need reopening. On weekends I kept working, fixing old homes, sanding away rot, finding the beauty beneath years of neglect. One afternoon while polishing an old wooden railing, I realized something simple. I'd spent my whole life fixing things that didn't belong to me. Now I only fixed what I chose. Sometimes I still think about that night, the lights, the scream, the headlines, but not with anger, with clarity. Because the truth is I didn't destroy their perfect day. They did. I just stopped pretending it was perfect. I used to think love meant showing up no matter how many times they shut the door. Now I know love also means walking away when the cost is your peace. I still get messages from strangers who saw the video. People asking if it was me in the story. I tell them the truth. It was all of us at some point, loving the wrong people too long. Families break, heal, and sometimes stay broken. But silence, it's not weakness. It's freedom. If this story hit something in you, tell me where you're listening from and hit subscribe. You're not alone in this. This is Flex Revenge Unfold, reminding you that sometimes the best revenge is simply knowing when to walk away.